Hello.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I had to start the webinar in order to log in. So
Perfect. Thank you so
I
much.
can.
Hello, how are you?
Good. We have Antoine Scott on the webinar as well. So he's going to start with a brief intro to BGS. Then once he does the intro to BGS, then I'll introduce you and then your counterpart.
Okay, she just sent me a message and wants me to send her the link. You said they're separate links, aren't they?
Yeah, I sent her a link and I told her to save it as her favorite.
Oh no, she's got it.
Okay, perfect.
Hey everyone.
Hello.
She was just asking me about, oh, there you are. She's coming.
Hello.
Hi. I just sent you an answer to your question. The
Okay.
latest deck is in your drive.
It is, and it's the name. Okay, I'll look.
Okay.
Do you remember the last slide count so that I can make sure I have the right one open?
Well, the slides are the same number. I've just hid some. So
Oh, okay, fine.
I have 39, but we're not using all 39.
Okay.
So
Okay,
Tina,
fine.
we're gonna have Antoine from the BGS team. He's gonna do the introduction. So it's like 10 or 15 minutes. And once he completes that, then I'll introduce Kimmy herself, okay?
Okay, sure.
Okay.
All right, I'm doing a quick screen share. Can you just nod your hand or wave if you're able to see my screen?
Yep, good to go.
All right, perfect.
Should I try to test out sharing the screen?
Go ahead. I put it on multiple participants, so it should be okay, but go ahead and try.
Okay, I'm trying to get back to you guys. Hold on. I have. I shrunk the screen. Okay, here we go. I will try. Mm.
You won't be able to do it while Antoine is doing it.
Oh,
There you go. I just clicked out. Sorry about that.
okay. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure that I have the files.
And Tina, I have mine open too. So if you need me to use mine, I can also do that.
Okay. It's funny. It's not letting me, but let me see if I can.
Multiple participants.
No, it's making me Zoom sign in to share. That's strange.
Kim, can you try yours?
Yep, I will.
Oh, I have it.
Okay.
Do you see it now?
Yep.
Yeah, so you just have to put it in presentation mode.
Okay. I'll just go to the top and then presentation mode.
Perfect.
How's that?
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. So then hopefully I will have it perfectly fine for next time. Thanks for letting me test it out.
No problem.
Great. So how's everybody feeling?
Good.
Yeah, really good. Thank you for asking.
It's hot in my house though. Probably should have put my air up a little bit, but I keep it pretty low. I think it's 80 in here.
It's cold over here.
Yeah, it's warm here.
That's super.
Yeah, I like to hang on to summer as long as I can. It's not an easy thing in Chicago.
Yeah, especially when you know what's coming next. So
I know. I want to bottle these 80-degree days.
Wow, it's 80 there? That's amazing.
It's in the 80s all week. I'm so excited. This is like a great day. Great week weather-wise.
And I
feel
see the
bad.
sun is peering through your blinds, I think. Is that correct?
Yeah. I feel bad for the poor kids that had to go back to school. They always get it in September where the weather is, it's not, it's great for us, but they have to be in school and suffer and watch outside the window and see how great it is outside.
Well, it's 11 p.m. where I am.
You look
Wow.
like it's early in the morning. You look fabulous.
Well,
I
thank
forgot
you.
about the time change.
Yeah, where are you?
I'm in
Tina.
Zagreb, Croatia,
Okay, gotcha.
but I'm originally from New Jersey.
Okay.
Fell in love in Croatia.
Yes,
It'll happen, I guess.
yes, yes. Yep. 1 year turned into stayed forever.
Good when you find a place you like.
Mm. So were you guys happy with the signups?
Yeah, I was trying to check to see what the total was. We actually have people logged in now, ready to start, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Last time we talked, there were 25. I don't know how many you have now.
Yes.
Maricela, how are you?
I'm wonderful, Kim. How are you?
I'm good. I don't think you've met Tina, have you?
I don't know. Hi,
Tina
Tina.
and I-
I'm Maricela with the Southland Development Authority.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
And
you as well.
Tina is certified in mental freedom and she works with the business sector. So I thought it would be good to have her on today so she can underscore some of the things that I'm talking about. And she's also a researcher, so she's going to share some research with you all.
Oh, we can't wait. We're
Awesome.
super excited for this.
Great.
And Kim, we have 45 people registered.
Oh, yay! That's awesome. That's better than 25.
Yeah, doubled.
Well,
Maybe we'll have 25 on the call. Then you were saying about 50%.
Yeah, give or take.
And they tell two friends and so on, so it's good afterwards, the buzz.
I was so excited. Today I went to the mailbox and I got a $500 donation. I'm not even a nonprofit. This man donated $500 in the memory of his sister who passed this summer to buy mental freedom books and hand them out for free to people who wouldn't be able to afford them.
Well, that's
And
so lovely.
isn't that beautiful? I'm still,
yeah.
my mind is just, I'm just in such gratitude. I cannot believe it. It's amazing.
That is amazing.
That
Is he
is.
going to let you share the story on Facebook?
I'm sure he would. I'm going to call him to thank him later, so I'll talk to him about it. But wow, he knows that I have a heart for nonprofit and to share with people who can't afford it, but that I'm trying to make mental freedom a premier service. So giving it away is not really part of the business plan, but he's making it possible that I can do both. So I just feel so grateful for that.
I'm just sending a chat to everyone that's logged in so far. Let them know we'll be starting shortly.
Okay.
1 minute to go.
All right.
So exciting.
And Antoine, you can start whenever you're ready.
Okay, perfect. Is everyone in? Sorry.
We have 7 people online right now. So I don't know if you want to wait a couple more minutes or start now, but it's up to you.
I'll wait maybe just another minute or so.
Okay.
While we wait, thank you everyone for joining us today. It's super exciting for the Southland Development Authority to partner up with Ms. Kim Oliver and Ms. Tina as well to present to you the Unlock Your True Potential, Kim Oliver's Mental Freedom. So we're super excited and we'll get started shortly. To do the Business Growth Service Unit introduction, we do have one of our very own, Antoine Scott, who's one of our relationship managers. So Anton, we should get started so that we can just go ahead with the presentation and share with everyone this lovely information.
Perfect. Yes. Welcome, everyone. We got some exciting things lined up for you today. I'm going to do the welcome for our BGS group. Excited to have you on. So for those of you that are maybe not familiar with our Southland Development, we are a nonprofit that started in 2019 by civic and political leaders built to provide resources, capacity, and economic growth in the South suburbs. We focus our investments on industry, workforce, housing, and communities. How we help, we advise, we connect, and we educate. We advise by providing one-on-one business advising. We connect by connecting entrepreneurs to resources and networks to grow their business. And we educate by providing educational opportunities to build businesses' capacity. Our pillars are special programming, one-on-one tailored consultations, business education, and government contracting. I'll give a little bit of details on each of those. Special programming. These are the initiatives that are designed in response to the feedback that we receive from our local community of business owners. Last year, we did a tax prep program assisting business owners with tax preparation. This was based on a theme that we saw in response to the business owners in the South suburbs, where we connected business owners to tax professionals at a fraction of the price that they would have received services if they would have walked in on their own. This program is closed, but currently it will be opening in Q4. So please check out our website to stay up to date for when we do open that session. Shop Southland is another program that is currently running. This is a pilot program where we selected 5 businesses in the South suburbs and provided extensive marketing assistance just to help them fine-tune their online presence, provide social media influencer postings, and leverage internet tools to build their social media and marketing strategy. Happy to say all businesses have seen an increase in engagement and sales through this program. We will be running this program again in 2025. Sorry, networking. So networking is another thing that we host occasionally through the year. And we just try to foster community amongst business owners. This is a space for business owners to network with the SGA, professional consultants, and we usually have a few of our banking partners there to address any questions for access to capital. And it's also nice to just have a space where you can connect with fellow business owners and find that you may not be the only one navigating a business trend or going through a business owner specific scenario. Tailored expert consulting. This is confidential and expert advice that's provided by our business growth services team with no financial burden to our business owners in the South suburbs. It's usually a 30-minute to an hour meeting with the relationship manager where we engage businesses in various stages of their business, ranging from ideation, concept, operation, expansion, and exit. I've attached a couple testimonials and success stories here, just so that you can see that our impact is real. We'll take one for example, Latrice Wright. She's the owner of Pink Panini. We engaged her while she was in operation, talked through and worked through ideation and the opening of a new concept restaurant that's actually next door to her Pink Panini location. Business education. It's in place for building capacity and knowledge share for our business owners in the South suburbs. In addition to the webinar that you're going to be attending today, I've attached a couple webinars that we've hosted in the past. Our Think Like a CEO is a series-based webinar that we just wrapped up one cohort, our business financial fundamentals, where we walk business owners through understanding their P&Ls, accounting, and access to capital. This was a virtual setup, and now the other one that's on here is our Unleashing Entrepreneurial Leadership. It was an in-person event where we had Erica come through and walk through leadership in your business with business owners. So that can be leading your staff, leading contractors, and what it takes to really do that well. Government contracting. Now, this is one new area in our space, but super proud to have it up and running. Now, with this program, we are providing guidance on our government contracts. So similar to what we do in our business growth services area, you will be meeting with a professional one-on-one confident advising session. And it's in place to help your business be best positioned for federal contracts. So we service a wide range of needs, ranging from bid matching, government specifications, subcontracting, just to name a few. Now, with that introduction, that's kind of a lot of information that we're throwing out at you. But one thing, if I could give you one takeaway from that, is to know that we are a service that is here for the entrepreneurs, for the business owners in the South suburbs to help you grow your business. And what helps us do that really well is the input from you guys. If you could take a moment, either now or a little bit later, capture this QR code. There's a small survey on that. And what we get from that is just that your input so that we can understand the themes and the things that business owners are navigating so we can find best fit programming to exhibit to you guys over the course of the year. I'm going to place our webpage on the chat of the webinar. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and transition it over to Jerica.
Thank you, Antoine. Good afternoon. My name is Jerica Hill, and I'm consultant with Southland Development Authority. I would like to introduce Kim Olver. Kim is a licensed clinical professional counselor, board certified coach, founder of Olver International LLC, and creator of the Mental Freedom Experience, a transformative program designed to help individuals gain control over their thoughts, emotions, and actions to live a more fulfilled life. Kim has over 30 years of experience in counseling, coaching, and training. Also joining us is Tina Odinsky-Zek. Is one of the mental freedom practitioners applying the approach in her coaching and mentoring work with executives and entrepreneurs. She holds a PhD in entrepreneurship and innovation and was a college professor for over 20 years. Thank you, ladies.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
Jerica.
much.
So I am super excited to be here to talk to you about mental freedom. And we want to talk about mental freedom because we know that People in business also need some mental freedom. I think if I ask people on the street who could use more mental freedom in their life, I get 100% of people saying me, 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 me. Mental freedom is something that will help us be more effective in every area of our life, home and work. And so we wanted to bring this to people who are working in business to see if this is something that would help you. So in the mental freedom experience, it's about opening your heart, freeing your mind, and transforming your life. So I'm going to turn it over to Tina to do the first couple of slides, because in our partnership, Tina is definitely the researcher. And so she has some research for you to start us off, and then I'll get into the principles of mental freedom.
Thank you so much, Kim. So it's been a pleasure to be working with you, and we want to just thank you so much, Jerica, for the introduction and for the SDA to welcome us here with you this evening. We want to cover why mental freedom fits into everybody's needs right now by giving you some statistics about why mental health and wellness and work is on the rise. The book launched July of 2024, and Kim and I have been collaborating for a few years prior to this. So I was very excited and supportive of the book launch and very eager to be one of the first rounds of coaches to go through the certification. Since my specialty is working with entrepreneurs, business executives, then I really saw how this has not only helped me personally, but can help clients that I work with. So we'll go over the 6 core principles to transfer your relationships at work. And Kim will hone in on one specific one that we can cover in the time we have. And then we'll open the floor for Q&A. So without further ado, we hope you are going to join the mental freedom movement. Why is it so important right now? Well, workplace wellness and employee well-being programs are being prioritized. It's moved from something that was nice to have to a must-have because of the rise of burnout for people searching for meaning at work and improve social well-being and a sense of belonging, and increase their feelings of thriving. And with that, you can see, why would you need to look for that at work? Because people are spending so much time, energy, and focus at work. And when all of the world almost moved online and had a jolt to what reality was, we had to try and figure out how we make connections in this virtual space. And it is not just in the US, but statistics across the globe showing that there is added stress, depression, and anxiety. And the statistics are one in which, if we look at the US, 44% is struggling. So how can we get better mechanisms to cope? And that's reframing our mindsets. And mental freedom gives you the choice and the tools to do that. So we will let you know how you can unlock the potential of this through this book that was published. It's a small and powerful guide, and I absolutely can testify to its healing powers. But the thing is, the application for businesses is also so strong. So any relationships you have, they get complicated. And how can you own your 50% of that relationship by the things you tell yourself in the process, right? So sometimes we have a tendency to make those matters better or worse. And this gives you the tools to ground yourself and make it more in reality. So what issues are coming up for you? If you are able to, what would be great to understand What do you need mental freedom for in business? How do you need it at work? What is the opposite of mental freedom? Maybe mental jail. What's putting you in a mental cage at work? Is it disagreements? Is it creativity clashes? Is it conflicts that don't seem to finally get their resolution? Is it managing stress? Is it something more like you feel discriminated or left out? Is it not quite being able to balance between work and life? What might be challenging your mental freedom in business? Because if you can name it, you don't have to be it. You can be free, and you can get those tools, luckily, from Kim. So Kim, I'm going to pass it over to you, and glad to add a little cinnamon to your latte talk now. So everybody enjoy. Thank you for letting me chime in.
Thanks, Tina. All right, so these are the 6 core principles of mental freedom. We start by talking about 5 basic human needs, and these come from the work of Dr. William Glasser and choice theory psychology, which is what I am trained in. And so we talk about the 5 basic needs, what needs are highest for you. It helps you understand yourself and what motivates your behavior. I'll just quickly go through those 5 basic needs. The first one is the need for safety and security. These are the people that are not, they're not taking risks. They worry about the people who do, those kind of things. We have connection, people who want to be relational and don't like conflict. They tend to avoid conflict. We have people whose need for significance is their highest need. And significance people have good leadership skills. They want to make a difference. They want to have an impact. And then we have the need for freedom. And freedom is the ability to do things your own way. I think most entrepreneurs have a high degree of freedom. That's why they have their own business, so they don't have to have a boss that's telling them what to do. They like to question the status quo. And then the last one is the freedom, or is joy. People have a high need for joy. And these are those people who don't like to do things unless there's some fun involved. And that includes at work. Sometimes we have clashes in need strength. So it's really important to understand those needs and which ones drive you and which ones are driving the people that you work with, especially the ones that you might be clashing with. So once we go through those needs, then we talk about the first principle, which is about responsibility versus responsibility. The second one is unconditional trust. The third one is disempowering versus empowering language. Then there's one about changing the stories in our head. And the signal versus solution, I'm probably not going to talk about that because that one requires more time than we actually have. And the last one is about appreciating the glow. So I'm going to talk about each one a little bit more fully so you understand how it works. So we can go to the next slide, Tina, and talk about responsibility versus responsibility. So people lose mental freedom when they take responsibility for things that aren't theirs. And they also lose mental freedom when they don't take responsibility for the things that are theirs. But in every case, we are response-able. Now, the first reference I find for response-able is in Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and he defines it as the ability to respond. So we always have an ability to respond. Sometimes it's wise to respond, and other times it isn't. What are you actually responsible for? And this is something that people struggle with. So if we go to the next slide, Tina, I think it talks about what we are responsible for. So we are responsible for meeting our basic needs that we just talked about. That's our job. It's also our job to create our own happiness. But how often do you put that in the hands of someone else? When you say to someone at work or a friend of yours, well, I'll be happy when so-and-so does blank. Well, why are you giving your happiness and your satisfaction to someone else to fulfill? It's not for other people to do. It's for us to take control of our own happiness. We also are responsible for every single thing we do. If you do it, you're responsible for it. People don't often like to take responsibility because they think it means that there's going to be some bad consequences for doing something that maybe didn't turn out the way that you wanted it to. And sometimes there are some painful consequences when we make mistakes and we do things that we would like to take back. If we did it, we're responsible, and the mental freedom that we experience increases when we take responsibility. It's also important to take responsibility for the good stuff that we do. Some people were trained, not unlike I was trained by parents. Don't brag about yourself, Kimberly Marie. You're no better than anyone else. And I agree with that. I'm not better than anyone else. But there are some gifts that I have that I'm really good at. And I think to share those things with the world is what we're here to do. So when we try to minimize ourselves or shrink ourselves to help other people feel better, we're not taking responsibility for the good things that we do and that we have the potential to do. So that also causes us to lose some of our mental freedom. Another thing that's not on this slide is we are responsible for the solution to our own problems. We often have problems that we blame other people for, and we say that person has to fix our problem. And they don't have any investment in fixing our problem because it isn't their problem. I use the example, I'm a counselor by education, and I wrote a book called Secrets of Happy Couples. So I have done some work with couples, and there are some basic things that I hear. They're stereotypical, I admit, but they are still nonetheless something that I've heard often in my practice. I'll have a person in the relationship complains, if they're the person who does the laundry, one of their complaints is that their partner often throws their clothes on the floor in front of the laundry receptacle, but they just can't seem to get the clothes inside the hamper where this person wants them. And they're so frustrated by that. And they keep saying, why can't you put your clothes in the hamper? And I say, whose problem is that? And the logical answer is, it's their problem because they're not doing it. But it's not their problem. The person whose problem it is the person who's most upset by it. So if you're the one that's losing sleep over it and being frustrated and angry and annoyed, it's your problem. So you need to be responsible for the solution. Pick up those clothes and put them in the hamper if it bothers you, or leave them on the floor and stop letting it bother you. Those are two options that you have. But to give equal time to the other partner in the relationship, one of the other complaints I hear is that when they get into their partner's car, the red light is often illuminated on the dash that says low fuel. And they're frustrated by that because they think that the other person should fill up their tank at a quarter of a tank because they've told them over and over and over again, fill up your tank at a quarter tank. Now that might be because they are concerned about your well-being and don't want you to run out of gas on the highway. Or it might be that they don't want to be inconvenienced to come out and pick you up in the middle of the game. So if that is your complaint, it's your problem. Take your partner's car to the gas station and fill it up. Problem is solved. So we are responsible for the solution to our own problems. And then the thing that Tina already talked about is relationships. Any relationship we're in, we are responsible for 50%, our part of that relationship. Now, I'm not talking about you got to give 100% to every relationship. That's not what I mean. What I mean is your part of the relationship is twofold. Number one, you have to meet your own needs. Don't expect your partner to be the one who meets your needs. Your partner can provide opportunities for you to get your needs met in your relationship, And that's great when that happens, but that's not their responsibility. That's just nice when that happens. Your responsibility is to get your needs met without frustrating your partner's ability to get their needs met. And that's your part. And if you both do that, you're going to have a healthy relationship, whether that's at home or at work. And then when people learn this stuff, they often want to talk about other people taking responsibility. They learn this stuff and they want to teach it to everybody. You need to be more responsible. But when you do mental freedom, it's not about other people. This is completely about you. We all can use some mental freedom, and we get mental freedom by focusing on what we have control over, which is ourselves. It's not about trying to change other people or get other people to be more responsible. If they want more mental freedom in their life, they can go through the program too. So next slide, Tina.
Kim, I just wanted to add one thing.
Sure.
It made me think of the situation between two colleagues at work. And the
Okay.
situation is this. It's vacation time. One is covering for vacation, other people, and letting them go on vacation. And the other people are off enjoying their vacation. And here's the situation. Work has to get done. Do you copy and send emails to people while they're on vacation? Or do you just handle it? So the person who stayed and was not on vacation handled it. And then when the people came back from vacation, they felt left out. This is a challenging relationship. So you have tension no matter what you do. Who's responsible for the work when you're on vacation? Not you. So it's your responsibility to enjoy that vacation. And when you get back, pick up where you left off. But don't be offended if people need to fill in the gaps while you're gone. So there's all sorts of tension. But when you understand what your responsibility is, to be where you say you're going to be when you're going to be there, and just follow through. So, okay, Kim, now we're on to the next one, which is what's not your responsibility.
What's not your responsibility, right? Because we also lose freedom when we overtake responsibility for other people. So this might happen when you try to do the other person's part of the relationship. You're doing your part and you're trying to do their part. That can be really challenging. If you take responsibility for things that other people do, that is not going to lead to your mental freedom. Sometimes we overtake responsibility for our adult children, or maybe our direct reports. They're not getting their work done. So we decide, well, we'll just do it. It's easier that way than to take the time to try to teach them the right way to do it. I do a lot of work. I'm a trauma specialist, so I have some people who have experienced trauma in their lives, and I have never worked with a person who's had childhood trauma, especially, who doesn't take responsibility for their own trauma. They think it's their fault. It's not their responsibility. So when people who've experienced trauma learn to put the responsibility where it belongs on their perpetrator, it helps them get more freedom. We also take on the responsibility to fix other people. Maybe they're not broken. Maybe they're living the life that they're supposed to be living. And we're coming along and trying to, quote, fix them. This can happen with our children, our parents, our coworkers. We're just communicating that they aren't good enough the way that they are. And it is experienced as criticism. And I believe that people have the ability to heal themselves when they get the information that they need to be able to put some of these ideas into practice. We don't need to fix other people. So criticism and judgment are the things that really can cause such difficulty in relationships. So trying to stay away from criticizing, judging, fixing other people is going to help your relationships at home and at work. Okay. the next one is the unconditional trust challenge. And this is one of my favorite ones. We all want to trust the people in our lives. The problem is we want to trust them for the wrong thing. When we say to people, I trust you, what we're actually saying is, I trust you to be the person I want you to be in my head. That doesn't work too well because they don't really know who it is that you want them to be. Even if you tell them, they're not in your head. Plus, they're busy doing what they want to do to get their needs met. They're not trying to be the person that you want them to be. So we need to start trusting people to be who they are instead of who we want them to be. Maya Angelou has that famous quote, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. So this is kind of similar. When people are showing you who they are, when you remove those glasses of who you want them to be, you can see them pretty clearly. And one of the challenges we have in relationships are our own expectations. We expect things from people and we expect things based on what we want. And we don't take into account what they want. And so when we say, I trust you, we expect that people are going to do the thing that you want instead of the thing that they're more likely to do is what's going to work best for them. So in the unconditional trust challenge, you take this challenge to trust everyone, but you're trusting them for the right thing. And the right thing is, the one thing I know every single person is going to do is they are going to do the best they know to get what it is they want in that particular moment. So it doesn't mean that they're doing the best thing. It doesn't mean that what they want is a good thing. But if you look at anybody in your life who's done something that has baffled you, perplexed you, or annoyed you, I guarantee you that whatever they were doing was the best they knew in that moment to get what they wanted. And so we stop taking it personally because we know they're not doing it to us. They're actually doing it for them. And when that happens, Tina, you can go to the next slide. When that happens, we get a lot of clarity. So if you care about someone, you want them to have what they want, right? You don't have to like it or approve of it, but you want them to have what they want. And then you want to trust people that they've shown you who they are until they consistently, and the word is consistently, show you something different. Because people can change like that for a moment, and you think, oh, I see the person that I really want them to be. I know they're capable of it, but they have to do it consistently. So if they show you something different consistently, then you can believe them. I'm a counselor, so I definitely believe that people can change, but they don't change overnight. So if you're in a relationship where a person is constantly hurting you or disappointing you, then you have the responsibility to reevaluate that relationship. Once you have clarity about who a person actually is, it will change the relationship. Sometimes it changes it for the better. Sometimes it makes you realize, ooh, I need some boundaries here. And sometimes it might make you dive headfirst, right, full force into that relationship. But you have to have the clarity first. And then what comes next, Tina, if you go to the next slide, we have, there's a slide in between. Okay, this one is the best part of the unconditional trust challenge. It's that it pertains to yourself too. So this is one of the ones that I like to dive a little deeper into. And I think that I will use this one today because I do have this extra slide here. So if you think of something in your past that you regret, you don't have to say what it is, but just think about it. It's probably something that happened a while ago. It might be something that happened last week. But what I want you to think about is getting into a time machine, my very special time machine that will transport you to that very moment where you made that choice that you now regret. And I want you to ask yourself the question that I already know the answer to. And that question is, in that moment, were you doing the best you could to get the thing that you wanted? You might regret that you wanted it. You might regret that you didn't have a better way to get it. But were you doing the best you knew to get what you wanted in that moment? And I know the answer is yes, because when you go back in the time machine, you don't go back as who you are right now. You go back as who you were in that moment. You didn't know any better. You don't have the wisdom that you have now. You didn't live your life and have the experiences that you have now. You're the exact same person who made that choice, and you would probably do it again unless you can go back with the wisdom that you have now. So once you know that in that moment that you're regretting, you did the best you could to get what you wanted in that moment, when you understand that, you don't have to regret it anymore. You don't have to judge yourself. You have clarity to know you did the best you could. Now you can go to the next slide, Tina. You have the clarity to know that you could do that. And then you, after the clarity comes non-judgment. So you stop judging yourself. You recognize, hey, I did the best I could in that moment. I wish I could have done better, but I did the best I could to get what I want. And then you might be able to develop some compassion for that younger version of yourself. Can you see that you might have got in a lot of trouble or caused some difficulty for other people, but you were doing the best you could. So feel some compassion for yourself, and then you can move into forgiveness. Forgive yourself. And if you're doing this with other people, you can move into forgiveness of other people as well. But that forgiveness doesn't mean you're giving them a pass. It doesn't mean that you're going to turn your back and let them stab you with that knife one more time. It just means you don't even have to tell them that you forgive them. It just means that you are releasing that poison that you've been drinking, waiting for that other person to die by holding that grudge that you're holding on to. You can forgive them and yourself because you know you and them were doing the best they could in that moment to get what they want. So you can just click through those, Tina. I've already talked about that. Get to the next slide. Okay. This is the third belief, and it's about looking at how we talk and the things that we say. We lose mental freedom when we use disempowering language. And if we can start looking at those things that we say, and if we're saying them, it means we actually believe them, and try to turn those disempowering things into more empowering language. Some examples might be, I had no choice. Well, there's always choices. You may not have any good choices, I can give you that, but there's always choices. Another thing might be so-and-so made me mad, or made me sad, or made me anxious. No one else has the ability to make you feel or do anything. You are in charge of your actions, and you're also in charge of your feelings. You may not know how to be in charge of your feelings right now. You might think that feelings just happen to you. And initially they do just happen. But when we hold on to them, it's because of something different. So another example of disempowering language is to say, I have to do something. And we all believe that we have to do things. But I'm here to say, do we really have to? So if we had, if you could in the chat, just write something down that you feel like you have to do. Some things I've heard in the past are mow the grass, take care of the kids, do the laundry, go to work, pay the bills, all of those things. So see if you have something you could just put in the chat, something that you have to do, that you really don't want to do. I'm not getting any takers. Anything you have to do that you don't want to do? Nothing comes to mind? All right. I'll keep the chat open in case you think of something. Oh, pay the bills, wake up early and catch up on the news. Okay. So I have two things here. So my question is, do you really have to do those things? If you don't pay your bills, oh, I got a note from someone that says the chat is disabled for participants. So I'm only getting answers from panelists. So if you could open the chat somehow, I don't know how to do that. That would be great. Anyway, pay the bills. Do you really have to pay the bills? What happens if you don't pay the bills? Well, if you don't pay the bills, you might have your car repoed. You might have your house taken away, but there's nothing that says that you have to pay your bills. There will be consequences if you don't pay your bills, that's for sure. Just like waking up early. Okay, now the chat is open if you want to try again. Just like waking up early to catch up on news. Do you really have to do that? I don't think you have to. You can choose not to. And so the idea is when you tell yourself you have to do something, I can just feel the weight on my shoulders. It weighs me down and it takes a lot away from my mental freedom. So I'm not suggesting that you stop doing things that you're doing. I'm not telling you, Antoine, you should stop paying your bills by any means. But what I'm saying is, there's really only one thing I know of that we have to do. And we used to say death and taxes. They were the only sure things. But I know people who don't pay their taxes and they're still walking around enjoying their life. So I would say the only thing we are going to eventually have to do is we're going to have to leave this world. That's one thing I know we don't get a say in. Everything else we do because we want to. But when we tell ourselves that we have to, it feels terrible. So when you have something that you think that you have to do, ask yourself the question, why do I do it? I'm going to guess, Antoine, you pay your bills so that you can have a house to live in and a car to drive. There may be more to that. We live in Chicago, so you might want air in the summer and heat in the winter and lights on at night when it gets dark outside. So we want to pay our bills so that we can get those benefits. So shifting from have to want to is one of the most empowering shifts you can make. So try to catch yourself whenever you hear yourself say, I have to, and say it again and say, no, that's not right. I really want to. And the way to get to want to is to acknowledge your why. Why do you do it? So why do you wake up early to catch up on the news? Because you want to be informed, because you want to be able to have intelligent conversations with other people in your day, because you're concerned about what's happening in the world. So that is how you get in touch with your why. And then when you recognize you want to do the things that you're doing, you will never have to do anything again. So now the fourth principle is about changing your narrative. I call this the story in your heads. We all have stories. And just to pick a story that we have all experienced, I think. Have you ever walked into a room where people are talking and you walk into the room and they immediately stop talking? You have a story in your head. What do you tell yourself? Because this is something I know from neuroscience, our brains are hardwired for negativity for good reason. So we are hardwired for negativity for survival. Back in early days when we had saber-toothed tigers, we needed to pay attention to when the birds stopped singing, because when the birds stopped singing, it might mean that there's a saber-toothed tiger behind us ready to pounce on us and eat us. If we're in life and death situations, like a soldier in combat, they better be grateful for their hardwiring for negativity, because it will cause them to look at a bag alongside of the road as a potential explosive device rather than just litter from someone. So we need the hardwiring for negativity. It's important for our survival, but it doesn't do a lot for our mental freedom when we're not in life and death situations. So I recommend these stories in our head, we develop an alternative track. So we learn how to tell different stories. So when we walk into the room and the people stop talking, I know the first thought that we have because of this hardwiring is they're talking some crap about me. And that causes you to feel some type of way about these people. But I like the question, what else could be true? And you could go all the way into fantasy world and say, well, maybe they're planning a surprise party for me. Yay! And that would help you feel better. But what if the surprise party never happens? Then you're going to be beating yourself up. So I like to shoot for a neutral story that helps me feel better, but it doesn't take me into fantasy land. So my neutral story when I walk into a room and people stop talking is, they must have been having a private conversation that had nothing to do with me. And that is very likely, even more likely than the fact that they're talking trash about me. And the truth is, I'm never going to really know the answer, which one is true. I'm making it up. So as long as I'm making up a story that's painful, why don't I make up another story that's going to help me feel better? We're in charge of those stories, and we do it at work all the time. We make up stories about our coworkers and why they do the things they do. And we have some coworkers who never say good morning, and you say good morning every morning, and you tell yourself some story about that. And it might be that they're walking with a headset, with earbuds in their ears that you can't see, and they're not even aware that you've said good morning. So it could be anything. It could be that they're preoccupied with other things. It might be that they never learned the habit of saying good morning. There are all kinds of things that could be going on. So we have to recognize when we get the knee-jerk negative story, it's going to come. We want it to come because we need that hardwiring. But once we get that negative story, asking ourselves, what is the evidence that that's true? And is there something else that I might be able to think is happening that wouldn't cause me so much emotional pain? So that is the fourth session. The fifth session, I'm not going to talk about. This is about our emotions, and I'm just going to tell you this little thing about that. Signal versus solution. We get pain. Sometimes it's pain in our body. Sometimes it's painful emotions. And when we first experience it, that's when it's useful, because that's telling us there's something wrong that we need to attend to. But too often we don't attend. We ignore it. You can go to the next slide, Tina. We might ignore it. We might just sit with that pain and try to understand, what is this pain saying to me? You could be afraid of it and stuff it back down inside of you. You could allow it to linger. And when you allow it to linger, it might become a solution. And I would talk about that more in the Mental Freedom Program. You could keep talking about it over and over and over again to people around you, anybody who will listen. So you're ruminating about your pain, or you can transform it into something either neutral or even pleasant. And you learn how to do that in the sixth session. So if you can go to the glow slide, Tina, that'll be the last one that I want to talk about. The sixth session is called Appreciating the Glow. And this comes from the work of John DeMartini, where John DeMartini talks about the periodic table of elements. You can go to the next one, Tina. The periodic table of elements, which, if you study chemistry at all in school, this is a little beyond Breaking Bad with the periodic table of elements in the opening. But the periodic table of elements tells us that every element in our naturally occurring world has equal positive and negative charge. It has the same number of protons as electrons. So from that, John DeMartini extrapolated the idea that when we have painful situations in our lives and things happen that we don't have control over that cause pain, it means that there are equal positives associated with it. So you don't have to go looking for the positives right away, because that takes some time for you to actually be interested in looking for it. But you can just know that they exist. That's the first thing. Know they're there. And when you're ready, you can start looking for them. So the GLOW stands for, it's an acronym that stands for gifts, lessons, opportunities, and wisdom. And that's just a structure for you to try to look for what might be positive in these awful situations of your life. We have all experienced painful situations. I mean, you don't get to live on this planet and not go through some hard stuff. But when you're willing to allow the hard stuff to happen, accept it, and then look for the good stuff, that's part of it, then we can neutralize the pain. It's still there, it doesn't go away, but it doesn't hold you hostage anymore. And you're able to move forward and live your life without being a hostage to that pain. So I think I have a couple of QR codes for you to look at that. One is a QR code for the book. If you want to look at that, this is the challenge for life, and that's look for the GLOW in all of your pain. And it's always there. And when you find it, it's going to help you feel better. So there's a QR code for the book. There's a QR code for having a mental freedom experience, and I have one starting October 8th. So if you're interested in a mental freedom experience, you can find out more about that. And then we also have mental freedom certification. If you are someone who works with other people and you'd like to learn how to use this with other people in your counseling or coaching practice, I'm happy to help you with that as well. And that always starts with a mental freedom experience of your own. So if you're interested in certification, you're going to want to start with an experience. And that's it, because I wanted to leave some time for Q&A. So if we want to open it up, come off of the share screen, and any questions, I'm happy to answer them now. I know I kind of went through it fast and blah, 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 because I had a lot to say, but I'm happy to answer questions now. Any questions?
We have about 16 people in the room, and we are very sorry about not letting you interact in the chat. So feel free to open up and turn on your cameras if you can, and we're here to see what's resonating with you. So you can even put that in the chat. What did you hear that you want to own more of in your mental freedom? And Kim is very humble, but her book is available on Amazon. So if you want to check that out, it's the QR code was already up, but yes, we have something from Maria.
Yes, very quickly. I'm glad that you liked the GLOW experience. I have used it a lot in my own life. When I was 37 years old, my husband died of leukemia. Actually, he was 37, I was 38. And when I looked for the GLOW in that situation, it felt wrong. Like, how do you ask yourself what could be good about your husband dying? But I had 2 children that I had to help through that situation. So I thought about it. And immediately I thought about, well, we're going to have a chance to say goodbye. Not everybody gets that, right? Some people have those sudden moments of loss. We weren't going to have that. So we were going to be able to have our affairs in order, our relationship in good space. The last words I said to him wasn't going to be, I hate you, or would you pick up some milk on your way home from work? You don't want that to be the last words you say to a loved one. And the other thing I learned was that my husband was a workaholic as a mechanic. He spent very little time with our kids, but when he was diagnosed, he stopped working because the chemical benzene was connected to the type of leukemia he had. And he spent more time with my kids in that 5 years that he was ill than he would have had he been healthy and lived to be 100 years old. He did all kinds of things, coached them in softball and soccer when he never played either one. He taught them wrestling, which he was really good at. He took us on a trip to Disney World. All this stuff happened that never would have happened. And there was so much more that I discovered over the years that contribute to the glow. So those were the first two things, and it helped me know it was possible. And then I believe that the work of grief is finding equal amounts of positive to the negative. So I'm glad that was helpful, Maria.
And then when we're dealing with, business situations, it also is when you have to leave a job, whether you chose to leave that job or the job chose you to leave. It's painful. And how can you turn it around to understand earlier than later? Because it does come around, wisdom comes later. But how can you accelerate that process through the mental freedom steps? It really does help. So that's just one situation. Losing a client, gaining a client. There's lots of transactions. Okay, Charles has something.
How can mental freedom shift the comfort zones of those struggling with racism? Well, I would love to hear Charles' answer to that question because he's someone I know and he has read my book. But I believe that knowing who you are and understanding the unconditional trust challenge and knowing that the people that you are dealing with are doing the best they know to get what they want. And it may not be personal to you, even though I know it feels personal. When it's happening to you, it feels personal. But if you can see them through the lens of trusting them to be who they're showing you they are, and then hopefully be able to mitigate the contact that you have with that person and maybe even develop some compassion for that person and not take it as personally. But of course, if it's affecting you, if it's on the job and you're losing opportunities and you're not being promoted and things are happening like that, then you may want to look at how can I address these situations? Maybe this isn't the place for me to work. Maybe I should leave my job and start my own business because I think that is a great way to deal with some frustration at work, and a nice glow experience is things aren't working at work. Sometimes that is a way for people to recognize it's time for me to do something different. So those are some things that come to my mind immediately. But Charles, I am sure you have other thoughts about that you may want to share. I don't know if can they talk?
I don't believe so, only panelists.
Okay.
So
All
they can-
right, well, thank you for the question, and I'm going to give that more thought. Maybe I'll have even better answer next time. Anything else?
Three minutes remaining. So any last questions? Comments?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Thanks,
No
Terry.
no guilt emotion, Cynthia. You have to use the unconditional trust challenge with yourself. You are doing the best you can to get what you want, and people are going to step up. That's what they're there for. And you're going to come back rejuvenated, and you're going to be able to handle more when you get back. So no guilt. Don't go to guilt. Go to I am doing self-care, and that's why I hire competent people so they can handle things while I'm away. Yes, so true, Roxana. Is there a replay? Are the videos going out?
Well, actually, yes, this is recorded and we can send it out.
So Shonda is asking about how much it is. I have 3 price points. We have a video program that you can get, which is our lowest price point. The best value for your money is group mental freedom experience, and then we have a one-on-one mental freedom experience. So if you follow that QR code, you'll get to see what the benefits are of each of them and the costs.
And the book is $14.99. Is that correct, Kim?
Yes. Yep. So thank you to everybody who was here. I appreciate it. Thank you, Valerie. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time. I know you have a lot of things to do with your time, so I am super happy that you decided to spend it with us. And they're looking for replays, so that'll be great.
Yeah, we can definitely send the recording to your email. So thank you, Kim and Tina, for this excellent presentation of mental freedom. Also, a big thank you to all of our participants for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.